Nicolene, what are your wishes?
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Our first item of business is a public hearing. I will at this time open the public hearing dealing with consideration that an amendment to the Grundy County zoning ordinance from 2023/4 be adopted, whereby the following described real estate situated in Grundy County, Iowa, to wit: section or north one half of the northwest quarter of the southwest quarter of section 26, township 88 north, range 18 west of the 5th PM, except part of a 2-acre strip, more or less, along the west side owned by the Iowa DOT, Grundy County, Iowa, be reclassified from A1 agricultural district to M manufacturing district for the purpose of an agricultural sales, service, and storage and an address site. Is there anyone here present that would like to speak in favor of this action? Go ahead. Would you identify yourself?
Yes, would you like me to stand?
You're fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Chad Henning.
Okay.
I am from AgVantage FS.
Okay,
And basically what we're building here, or what our intent is 3 structures to be built on the property. The main structure is approximately 80 by 152 feet. It would consist of an office, a warehouse, and a chemical mixing facility. The second structure would be a shop, which would consist of a 60 by 80 foot building. And then the third structure would be an anhydrous ammonia facility, which today is the intent would be a 45,000 gallon tank with the ability to expand, of which we've had the state Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship has been at the site, looked at the facility, where we intend to put the anhydrous plant. That's usually the question that a lot of people have. And with our intended size today at 45, even if we doubled it to 90, we're well within our property from Idols. Jeff, I've known him, dealt with him for 25 years of experience with him. Thought it was probably one of the safest spots he's seen in quite some time for a new facility. So that's the intent today.
any questions regarding that description? Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of adoption of this ordinance change? Is there anyone here that would like to speak against this action? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. And then we'll
It's just an
vote.
entirely new site, or are you moving from someplace to this site?
Yeah, the intent today is this will be our operating site from our Eldora location that we currently have, and from our Applington location that we currently have, and putting our people force, our operations force in that facility.
So this will add to not only the tax base of Grundy County, but the employment numbers of Grundy County.
It certainly solidifies the employment of our current employees there.
So those other two,
Just down the water tower. Oh, okay. I don't know how to explain it any better.
Yeah.
Similar like what you guys are doing in Tama County?
Yeah,
Okay.
New Century's doing that one. Yeah, exactly.
so you're closing those two sites?
So our intent today, at Eldora, so we have 2 facilities kind of at Eldora, we call it downtown Eldora. Our intent would be to close that.
So that's on the
until-
north side of the highway as you go in.
yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
sure.
Yep. And then what we call the west plant, so west of the Boyce facility on the south side of the road,
Mhm.
that's where our anhydrous facility is at. Bulk fuels and LP, we would still service customers out of that site the same way.
With the downtown on the go.
And then, yeah, and we also have chemical and UAN storage there, and we will, as soon as we can build this new facility, I want to be the first person with a wrecking ball to tear that down.
I mean, to fire tried.
We've tried multiple things.
Okay, any other questions? All right, Carrie. You're up because this is your area. It's under your name on the agenda, but if you have nothing further to say in addition to what the gentleman has said, then I would entertain a motion to approve the ordinance number 2024-6 An ordinance amending the ordinance number 2023-4 Grundy County, Iowa Development Ordinance for the rezoning of property. Would anyone like to introduce this?
I would move to introduce it.
Okay,
Second.
is there a second? Any questions? All right, Alan, could you call the roll?
Yes. Vic,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Heidi,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
and Lucas.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance approved. Then we have a resolution on our agenda to approve the construction evaluation for confinement facilities. That is supposed to be approved before the end of the year each year. It's resolution number 20-2024-25. It's regarding the master matrix process that is used when new hog confinement facilities are under consideration. Is there someone that would like to introduce this resolution?
Move to introduce.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Alan, would you call the roll?
Yes, Vic,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes,
Heidi,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
and Lucas. Yes.
resolution adopted.
On that ordinance, we would have to move from,
Oh, back to the ordinance. Yes, is there a motion to move from first to third reading and just suspend the rules on that ordinance for the
I'll
rezone?
so move that.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right. Any discussion? Alan, would you call the roll?
Vic,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes,
Heidi,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
and Lucas. Yes.
thank you. Carrie, it says discuss department matters. Do you have anything for us?
Well, so I have some people coming from Wapello County, 10 of them today to visit our wind farm and our Bitcoin
So that's the
location.
gentleman I've been communicating with?
I believe
Yeah,
so.
because I've copied you on
Yes,
all
I
of
think
that,
so. So they're coming to look at that today. In light of them coming here, I went up there last week to visit our Bitcoin location. And as you all know, it is not legally zoned to have them there. But we've let them remain in that location. The issue has become now that they have made basically a junk pile on a place. There's garbage laying all over, junk laying all over. They take their old servers and they're stockpiling them literally in a pile on the ground.
So you can do a citation?
Well, that's what I want to know, how you guys think I should deal with that. You being my supervisors for the zoning position, I don't. Sadly, we don't have a whole lot of ordinance teeth in those kind of
So it
things.
harkens back to what we went through in Holland with trying to get that.
Right, and I don't know
That
that,
burned out building cleaned up.
so I don't know that we can declare this a public health nuisance, but in light of the fact they're not zoned to even be there, do I send them a letter at this point and just let them clean it up? Or do we tell them they have to remove
The whole thing.
their whole thing because they're not even permitted to be there? So I guess I'm just kind of looking at guidance from you
I
guys.
guess I would send them a letter first, just because they could come back and sue because they've been there so long and
Yeah.
possession is 9 points of the law or
Right.
whatever.
And they're also not, they're legally, I mean, that's the other thing. So like,
Well,
and they
they-
know that they can't
They
make
snuck it
any,
in on us.
right, they know that they can't make any changes basically to it. They can't add on to it. They can't add anything else because it's a non-conforming structure because they're not
Because
zoned
it's in a hoop
correctly.
building, right? And
Yep.
so it doesn't have footings, it doesn't have,
It doesn't
an
have
assessed
bathrooms, it
valuation,
doesn't have running
basically.
water, it doesn't
so
have
that's
anything.
where we didn't have control because it
Right.
was snuck in.
Yeah, there's no septic system or water or anything,
Something,
correct?
there's porta potties. And they've asked me before about putting that in. Well, that is
That triggers.
making the property, better than what it is now. To make
That
any
triggers in
changes or,
rezoning though, right?
it would,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, to me, you can't make anything different than what you put in there and what you were permitted. If you're not zoned correctly.
I know you
So,
can't get inside their heads and figure out what their thought process is, but when they, if they're successful in putting a bigger facility at the farm that they bought, what, $1.2 million farm they bought that's in the floodplain, would you see them moving that off of that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm assuming they're wanting it as a second location, but I don't know that. I haven't talked to anyone recently, but
Okay.
I'm assuming they're wanting a second location.
I think you sent them a
So-
letter to clean it up.
Inside the section
Specific of
Of
what
the-
they need to clean
the
up, so they know.
county zoning that we used when we were trying to get the Holland Nice.
Well, it wasn't zoning, it was environmental health.
Right,
so
yeah.
That's why I said, I don't know that I can deem this a public health nuisance, because I don't know if there's anything out there that's a nuisance, but at this point, we're not gonna let them just stockpile their junk computers and stuff out in the yard, and it looks horrible. I'm almost embarrassed to take this group from Wapello County up there to look at it today.
Just tell them this is what could happen to you.
Right, yeah.
Oh, it's not your fault.
Yeah, I mean, be careful, I guess,
Not
but
good.
I think that's what I'll do is I'm gonna go up and take pictures while we're up there today. I guess I would like for Jeff to drive by just to make sure there's nothing in county right away that's not supposed to be in
I can do
there. And things like that, just to have a little more teeth, if there's anything there that way, but I'll get a letter, I guess, and send it to them and tell them that they have.
The
You have,
question,
you have any additional thoughts?
the only thing I would say is you guys are now aware of a non-compliant structure. I would be talking to Erica to ensure that the non-compliance does not continue. You need to probably do something about that. Whether
aware of it.
adjusting zoning, make it compliance, or getting it gone to be compliant.
Because at this point, they could come back, we could make them rezone it now,
You have.
and if you guys don't approve it, then they're gone.
Because what would stop, say, me from going and being non-compliant? Oh, they didn't do, you didn't do nothing to them. I can do it. What are you gonna do to me? I'm just gonna turn around and say, you're not being fair.
So do we have verbiage in the zoning ordinance about compliant structures? That's the thing I'm wondering. I mean,
Well, it says no
definitions.
use is to be continued. I mean, I don't know that this is really grandfathered in. Could be maybe because we didn't have data processing centers in our ordinance before they put it
That's
up.
what I'm figuring, they could find some sort of loophole.
But they didn't apply as such to.
Well, because it
They
was,
didn't
it
do
was a
anything.
They gave me a
temporary
building permit,
building,
and that was it.
so it was a hoop building.
Yeah,
so-
all they gave me was a building permit and said it was part of the REC. So I'll talk to Eric about it too and see
Okay,
what she wants me to
good.
do. Maybe she'll pen a letter to send to him too, just
Sure.
I think that would be
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Is there anything through like the fire marshal? Because when I worked for Conkin, we started doing work there and they told us what they were doing and we told them it wouldn't meet code and then we were never asked back.
you know.
And then all of a sudden the building went up.
I don't know. I don't know how they operate that place in the dead of summer.
So that
when
would be
it's
the
100
state
degrees
fire
outside.
marshal code.
Yep, if it didn't.
So, I
meet,
mean, the
like,
other thing we
electrical
could-
code.
Other thing we could do is invite the state fire marshal to come in and
To
inspect
come out
it.
and inspect it.
Mhm.
Thank
I
you.
know we
Didn't know that.
we trenched the pipes in and we are getting ready for that and they had us look at stuff and master electrician I was with, was like, well, you can't do that. There's not enough spacing for everything. And then we never went back and then we started doing their maintenance after it was already.
So they found someone else to, because
Mhm.
they didn't want to have a pushback.
Mhm.
Okay, well, that's very
good to know, too.
promising if
Thank
we
you.
get the state fire marshal in.
And I would probably also notify DNR.
Right, because who knows what's coming out of that crap that's laying on the ground, so.
The DNR has a very good solid waste disposal program.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Good discussion. Jeff,
Nothing on the agenda, but we are down 2 motor graders, one with front wheel assist issues and one with transmissions issues. Not gonna be a fun bill to pay. This week we will have both of our brush cutters going. Right now, we do have one excavator out, but we should have the other one up and going. We attended the engineers conference last week. Found some ways to spend some money.
You really didn't need to look for that, Jeff.
any questions?
Then the We Are Bridge barrier rail was poured last week. So hopefully we can get traffic on that before next year.
I was
Fingers
just
crossed.
asked about that last night. It's
And-
interfering in someone's route. That I
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
right now I think it comes down to backfill. So with the frost and everything, so. Fingers crossed.
Okay, anything else for John? Thank you. Okay, we need a motion to appoint Nick Boosman as a board member to the Board of Health, he's replacing someone who term limited off. There's someone that'd be willing to make that motion.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Second tier canvas of the AGWSR Community School Public Measure IQ. That has been circulated. Is there someone that would make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, update on various board and committee meetings.
We had a nerd meeting on Thursday. It was a fairly short meeting because most of the Waterloo folks were out at a fire.
Yeah, there's that fatality fire outside of Waterloo, so it was a short meeting.
But the budget looks good. There was some training updated stuff. The FS plant in Tama County, they talked about a little bit. That's up and running now. I think they're gonna do a walk around or walk through some of the hazmat guys to test stuff or whatnot. And then that meter that we had discussed last time, that almost $70,000 meter that's supposed to, detect an insane amount of, chemical or whatnot, that was there. They just received it to test out. And so I don't know if they said how long it's gonna be there for them to test.
I don't know, we were supposed to get a demo, but that fire happened, for picture purposes. It looks like a little 2-gallon gas can with the sniffer on the end. And they're pretty pumped about it.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to protect some pretty minute parts per million to help keep everybody safer, so.
Yeah, so that's at the next meeting when hopefully more folks from the Waterloo side are there, they'll be able to talk more about it in detail after they have a chance to test it out and everything, but yeah, I think it sounds like a pretty cool addition. And that was about it.
Okay, anybody else?
I had an emergency Northeast Iowa Workforce Development Board meeting Friday morning, by Zoom. We were discussing the audit for the year, as Central Iowa Juvenile Detention is our financial person. Their audit is behind. The state is doing their audit. Let's see. Was due March 31st, 2024, has not been finalized or submitted to the audit clearinghouse. So for that one being behind, that doesn't look good for any going future. And to meet our guidelines on workforce development doesn't work well. So we just approved some procurement things, standards going forward. There's more audits that are a little behind, so I don't think it's the only one. Everything has been submitted to the state, and so it's on their end. Trying to clean up language to make sure that the Workforce Development Board is covered. Central Iowa, I mean, they're covered, but it's just getting it from the state auditor, so. Yeah.
I ran into Sarah Hook, our death investigator, and I asked her how things were going. Between Sarah and Chase, they had had 20 death investigations this year. And I said, is it a benefit to have someone else besides yourself doing it? She was so positive about that because Chase has done 5 and she's done 15 of them. And she said in some instances, he's been one of the first responders to the incident that caused the death. And so, he's right there. He knows the circumstances. And so I think it's been a very good arrangement to have a second person, and they work together well as far as I can tell. So I did attend the district supervisor meeting. There's 16 counties in our district, goes all the way from Polk to Grundy County, to Power Chic. wasn't as well attended as some of them in the past. There were just 7 counties represented and just as a FYI, there were only 2 counties there that voted not to keep the compensation board. And their rationale was because they tend to look at counties 5 larger in population and 5 smaller. And in those cases, the ones larger are much larger. So then that skews the salaries and they didn't feel like it was a good comparison for that reason. So, and they said, well, we reserve the right to invoke the comp board in the future, but right now they were gonna just go without. Legislative priorities, top of the list would be eminent domain and completion of the property tax reforms by 2029. They're, you know, unhappy as we all are with unfunded mandates from the state. And they're looking to lobby for increasing VA funding. It's been the same amount to counties for many years. And they're trying to increase recorders fees and court fines and fees. They talked about the assessment of new construction reevaluation. This is an equalization year. And I talked to Mike after that meeting and asked how that effectively changed what he does. And he says, well, it doesn't really change what I do, but it affects the auditor's office more than it does my office. So there's been an issue of the Tyler software not communicating between the assessor and the auditor, and that required some reprogramming on some, in some counties. 5 of the 6 supervisors on the supervisor affiliate board were not reelected. So we elected a new person for District 1 to represent that district with the state group, and that was a gal from Ames. So it was a good meeting. I'm gonna bestow this pack of legislative priorities on you, since you are the chair apparent for next year. So did you have anything, Vic?
We had a safety meeting, Thursday, and, no incidents to report. We did have a new member. I'm sorry, Chase, can you help me out with the name?
Michelle Keel, she's took over Arnell's spot with the
Clerk of court. On that, so other than that,
Okay.
Yep.
Is there anything else to come before us this morning? Hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Pardon?